Hello and welcome. I'm Mike Ortolano, editor at Esperlux. We're here at Dubai Watch Week 2025 with Karl-Fritz and Karl-Friedrich Scheufele, the family behind Chopard. We're looking at their chiming watches, a full strike and the brand new Grand Strike that was released here, as well as a prototype that has not been shown much to the public. Let's look at the full strike and kind of walk through the evolution. I think actually we mentioned the first chiming watch came in 2006.
Well, actually, yeah, you should look at something that is not on this tray, but in order to position ourselves, there was a watch released in 2006 called Strike 1, which was actually the first step into the field of striking watches for us.
Yes.
And that was our warm-up piece. And the Strike 1, as the name indicates, was our first strike, but also striking the hour only.
Okay.
You could choose between silence or the hour being struck every hour. It was more of a traditional setup. It was a steel gong and steel hammers.
We've had that kind of more classical setup until 2016 when we released the first full strike. And I think the idea came up when thinking about how can we make the sound of a repeater sound much more, first of all, loudly, of course, but also a crisper, more pure and fuller sound. And that, of course, we came to the conclusion that it could only be made by hitting directly on the crystal. But there's a story with the wine glasses, which you mentioned the other day, which I find pretty interesting.
Yeah, we had a brainstorming session around the project, and we said if we go into a minute repeater, we have to offer something, you know, a different experience. We had these wine glasses on the table, and I think it was me. I went like this, you know, as you do with a fork, and you have this crystal clear sound coming out. And I said, this is what we need.
Yes.
You know, that's what we'd like to obtain when we release this watch. And
as sharp as a crystal.
The initial, most important, I would say, idea, but took a long, long time to get into reality.
From this idea to the watch itself took quite some time because, of course, there was all the research and development that went into making a monoblock sapphire with integrated gongs inside, which is cut in one piece of sapphire. So obviously the breakage rate when making such pieces is very high, but also actually finding the right techniques and partners that are able to work on these pieces is also quite a challenge.
I imagine. Now, moving from the full strike to the Grand Strike, can we talk a little bit about the differences between these two timepieces? I know the Grand Strike for the brand is just a massive accomplishment in chiming watchmaking.
Well, the main difference between a minute repeater, which is the full strike, as the name indicates, it will repeat the time it is by chiming first the hours, then the 15 minutes with the double gong, and then counting the minutes from there on up until the next 15 minutes, basically. And this is already complicated enough. But then going into a grande sonnerie situation, what this watch does, it does the repeating function, of course, upon demand, any time of the day. And you can choose between three other functions, one being petite sonnerie, one being grande sonnerie, and one being S for silence. A petite sonnerie is a chiming function of the hour upon each hour and a double chime upon each 15 minutes. The grande sonnerie will repeat every 15 minutes the hour and then the 15 minutes, so the double chime. So that's a lot of things going on inside this watch. 686 components are needed to make this happen. Apart from telling time visually, and of course, not to forget the tourbillon, which we added to as a complication. Well, it's the only grande sonnerie with a chronometer certification.
Incredible.
Which was obtained with the petite sonnerie functions in place.
Spectacular.
Although we have two barrels, there is always some loss of tension when this petite sonnerie sets into work. So yeah, it's we chose a very complicated way. We were not obliged to chronometer certify that way.
Of course, yeah, for sure. The thing about it, which really is amazing to me, is that it's still an extremely wearable watch, because you think about all the complications and all the components inside of it, and you would think that, you know, lug to lug, would be just a massive watch, but it's actually...
But having the prototype next to it, we can get to the case and analyze really the differences, because when you look at the piece in its working case, as we like to call it, it does have its size.
Sure.
And you can see that it's a case that holds 686 components, bigger barrels, and in this composition you can kind of tell. However, the work that was done on the case
and that's when
helps to slim the watch.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where the design comes in, with that inward fluted kind of bezel and the hand soldered lugs. It really helps refine the watch and make it more wearable overall.
Amazing.
And it's exactly the same measurements, so.
It's incredible. That is really just a design feat, because if you look at them side by side, it does not look even remotely close to the same size. Yeah, amazing. Incredible.
And not to forget the selector here, which is very well integrated. And you just go tuck, tuck, tuck to choose your mode. And the selector is also water resistant, so, you know, we are...
Functional for everyday life.
It's a very functional timepiece, because we made sure that nothing can basically go wrong when you adjust your watch. You can turn the hands, not having to worry about if you're engaged in one or the other mode. And you can use the repeating function anytime.
That is a big issue often with historical chiming watches.
Yes.
They're very sensitive and more delicate than most collectors probably usually are used to.
We filed 5 patents on this watch alone, reusing 5 others that we have obviously filed for this watch before. It's a very innovative timepiece, yet finished in a very traditional, beautifully Poisson de Genève certified way.
Yes, this is 30 years of watchmaking experience coming to fruition.
Well, next year will be the 30th anniversary of
L.U.C.
the foundation of Chopard Manufacture and Fleurier.
Yes.
L.U.C. was your birth year.
Yes.
1997.
Oh,
so then we have to wait another year.
Another year.
And we can celebrate again.
Yes, again. Amazing.
Double celebration.
Exactly.
Yeah, amazing. Incredible chiming watches, though. I really appreciate your time and these explanations. Thank you so much for joining me here, and thank you for tuning in. This is Karl-Fritz and Karl-Friedrich Scheufele here at Dubai Watch Week 2025. Thank you. Like and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram at @Esperlux. Thank you.